Hi, everyone. Cathy Sabater, mortgage planner and proud veteran.
Hi, I'm Fiona Theseira, San Diego Castles Realtor.
Yay! Well, today we're going to be talking about some major questions that sellers ask. By the way, we're going to have four questions. Fiona, let's just get right into it.
Love it.
Right.
Let's go.
One of the questions that I know that sellers ask are, what do I need to do to get my property ready to sale?
Well, I would say to start with, you will need to make sure that your property is, when someone drives up, you've got about 3 seconds to make a really good impression on your property. Your yard needs to be clean, tidy, and inviting. Freshen up those doorknobs. Put something nice in front of your door, by the side of your door. Some really nice um, shrubs or flowers. Inside should be clean, decluttered, unpersonalized. Get those family photos out, especially if we're going to be going live on the internet. Do not allow kids' photos to be on the internet.
And that's an interesting thing because that's perception. So I remember when I sold my condo, is okay, what's clean for me may not be clean for you. What's clutter for me may not be clutter for you. So how do you have that tough conversation with those type of sellers?
Well, I will maybe even go out and show a home that is absolutely clean, or invite them to go and see a new home. Uh, Basically a builder home, because there's literally nothing there. And
Mm-hmm,
the less personalized a property is,
mm-hmm,
the easier it is for a buyer to come in and visualize themselves moving there. So if you have a lot of stuff, that property is going to look really small, when in
mm-hmm,
fact there's a lot of room. But if you have oversized furniture, a lot of clutter, buyers sometimes just can't see past that. So any help that you can give them to give them a real clear picture on how your home looks, how
mm-hmm,
it's inviting, how you've loved to live here, but not leaving how you've loved to live here,
mm-hmm.
is really, really well.
Well, so basically, when they give you that question, then how long does it actually take from the time that you actually see and tell them what they need to do to their home that you actually put the property on the market?
That can vary. Depends on how much declutter, or maybe some painting, or maybe,
Mhm,
even just renewing some of the handles on the
mhm,
doors, or cleaning the windows, waiting for those people to show up and actually help the seller do the work, because sometimes the seller doesn't always do the work themselves. So
mhm.
it could take a week, it could take a month.
Okay, well, wonderful. Well, here's question number two from sellers, right? How are you going to market my property?
That's a great question.
Mhm,
So essentially, I have a very good database of other realtors
mhm,
all over California. Now, yes, I know we may be based here in San Diego, but someone up in Sacramento may just know the exact correct buyer for this property. Also, we're online. We go into the multiple listing service, or as we call it, the MLS.
mhm,
Now, that basically goes out to the Zillows, it goes out to Redfin, it goes out to basically worldwide. So any and all MLS users and franchisors can basically look at the property. I'll also blog about it.
mhm,
I take professional photos.
mhm,
Every time is professional photos. I will not do a property injustice by getting out my iPhone and taking a photo. It is super important to basically make a movie star of your property. So we'll take
mhm,
videos as well, drone shots, and that will all be disseminated in social media. I'll be sharing it out with every single realtor in San Diego as well. Even though they get it in the MLS, I basically transport it out as many times as I can.
mhm. And then also, I'm not sure if the viewers know that there's also broker opens, right?
Yes.
And caravans, right? And also
Yes.
open houses. Can you touch on those?
Oh, absolutely. So every area in San Diego pretty much has a broker caravan, and what that means is we get together normally once a week, where a lot of realtors in that area will be there looking to see what new properties have come on, and to see if there's any matches for their current list of buyers.
Mhm,
And so that happens, as I say, all over San Diego. A great way of bringing people together to tell about your home, but also to bring them into your home. This
mhm,
is kind of an open house for other realtors. And so, again, we open the door to as many people as we can, because we want as many people as we can to see your
mhm,
home. Open houses on the weekend generally, I find My personal preference is Sunday because I find that more traffic comes through on Sunday, but it is available to have an open house on Saturday and Sunday, and sometimes maybe even an evening.
Gotcha. So, question number three. In this market, because every market changes, how do you communicate to your seller?
That is another great question. So every week I do send out our traffic. So I will look and see Zillow traffic. I will look and see what my website is giving and different other sources that I have available at my fingertips. Again, mostly through the MLS and how it disseminates out from there. I will text, I will email, I will call. It's the seller's preference at the end of the day. But generally, I will always give a text before I make a phone call because sometimes I may need to make a quick phone call that I need to get a hold of a seller very quickly, but always a text first if that's appropriate.
So in this particular market, we're seeing homes on staying a little longer than we did before, or so how's that communication with the seller's expectations?
So we'll have those expectations. We'll have the expectation discussion up front,
Okay.
and so we'll be as time goes along. Because again, when we're looking at longer time frames, because of a higher number in inventory, we're going to be talking every week anyway, and so that is we're going to be maybe resetting expectations, like
Mhm.
recalibration. So that it will be an ongoing weekly opportunity.
And so the interesting thing about that is because zip codes really dictate how many days on the market it is,
Yes.
will also dictate whatever your communication is for the individual. Because I know some sellers, well, I'm not going to sell if I have to do ABC, but I'm glad that you are having that conversation up front because if they're motivated, they're going to take the advice of a professional, which is Fiona. That is the purpose of hiring her, right?
Absolutely, exactly.
Now, this is a very interesting question that Fiona has now brought to my attention because I've never heard of a partition sale. I know what it is, but I never knew it was called that. Can you expound on that one?
So a partition sale, I would liken it to, could happen in a divorce, or but mainly heirs or maybe friends even
Mhm.
having a property in ownership together, and one wants to sell and the other one doesn't, or they can't agree on the price. And
Mhm.
so generally what happens is one of them will contact an attorney,
Mhm.
and these particular sales are held in probate, in the probate court section. And in a particular instance that I'm involved with right now, I am personal referee, and I was that was granted to me by the court, and so I am actually uh, I the sellers were at odds with each other. However, I have the opportunity to be
Mhm.
talking with both sellers and keeping them on the same track, which
Mhm.
is a very interesting and phenomenal opportunity. So it
Mhm.
is, I'm a moderator, which
Gotcha.
pretty much I think most realtors are, but this is more so.
So when you're dealing with that type of sale, is the paperwork different or similar with different verbiage?
It's actually this. It's the same contracts that we normally use as
Mhm.
realtors.
Mhm.
However, especially in this particular instance, our sellers and myself are not allowed to sign it until it goes back to court for final
Oh,
approval. So a
gotcha.
judge has to actually ratify this whole escrow at the end of the day.
So can you give us an example of a story in regards to why someone would have a partition sale?
So again, it's more of two sellers or three sellers not coming to terms
Mhm.
with wanting to sell, or a price, or how they were going to split the property, because you may have, say, two properties and you've got three sellers and you can't split two properties three ways, right? Or you can't decide, you've got two properties or you've got even one property, you can't split that into multiples.
Right.
So essentially the court will say, okay, this is what we need to do, we have to sell it. And so they will just basically say, please list the property for sale. And with the fiduciary we have as being a realtor,
Mhm.
we have that opportunity to make sure that we get the sellers the best price and the best terms.
So when we're dealing with partition sale, if there's a divorce, do you need the court to be involved as well, or at a different level?
So I apologize because I did liken the partition sale to a divorce.
Mhm.
So generally, in a divorce, there'll be an agreement between attorneys that things need to be sold so that they can reconcile the accounts.
Mhm.
So in a divorce, generally an attorney is involved, but no, not necessarily a court, unless
Mhm.
it becomes that the court has to say, yes, you need to sell it.
Well, I have to tell you, these were four great questions that we had. Was what do you do to get the property ready to sell? How are you going to market it? And most importantly, communication, because as we know, some realtors need to set the stage for their listings for the sellers. And then lastly, what a petition sale is and the differences of it. Now, Fiona and I are going to be having another video, and guess what? Because she has firsthand have to deal with it, and it's a reverse mortgage and the do's and don'ts that you have to do to keep your house and or enjoy your retirement in your home. Fiona, what's your phone number so people can get in contact with you?
It is 858-344-2213.
Thank you so much for your time, Fiona.
Thank you, Kathy. It's been a pleasure.